Okay, so today we're going to talk about inspecting your bailout kit or your personal escape system. They're both one and the same. The SOP calls it a personal escape system. Out here in the field, we just say bailout kit, tomato, tomato, you get it. The important thing that I want you to walk away with is understanding what elements make up the bailout kit, what are we looking for when we inspect them, and then what technically qualifies as a failure, like critical failure. In other words, I've found something, this kit is no longer usable, it has to be replaced and taken out of service. All right, so those are pretty much our objectives that we're going to cover in this video. So I have myself a set of bunker gear here, and when we inspect this, we're going to have a form. We're actually working on creating the form that'll walk you through step by step basically what I'm going to describe here in this video. But before I jump into this, let's talk about what makes up the entire kit. Number one is the Class 1 harness, okay? That's the harness that everybody has that goes around your waist, all right? It has the D ring on the front. It has the clasp that goes around to close it off. It has the adjustment points here, and there's another adjustment point on the back to allow somebody to adjust the size. From there, we have our Safe D carabiner. All right, this actually is labeled that way. Safe D carabiner, kind of a play on words. We have our lanyard that is permanently sewn together for the safety carabiner, and our descent control device, okay? Descent control device, or a DCD. All right, and then from there we have the Technor rope. All right, the rope is what obviously we slide on for our descents, and then we have our Lightning GT hook. All right, Lightning GT hook. So those elements make up the entire kit. All right, if you were to look this up on Sterling's website, it would also include the bag. We don't have the bag because we have our pockets that are built into the bellow side of our bunker pants that allow us to store this. So if you look at an inventory list and you see bag, there is no bag. So forget that part. All right? So that makes up the pieces. Now, the best way to probably do this is honestly to take it all the way out when it comes to the rope. So now I have the entire kit laid out before me, starting with the belt. Okay, whenever I'm going to inspect the belt, the first thing I'm going to look at is, does it actually work? Do I have any issues with the clasp closing, right? Do I see any flaws in the pin? Anytime you're inspecting any hardware for that matter, you're trying to find, is there any cracks? Is there any corrosion? Is there anything that's broken, like legitimately severed in half? Is there pieces that are missing, like the pin I just pointed out? Does it work? Is it operable, right? When I close this, does it lash together and then not come undone, obviously? So that's the hardware part of this, right? Like I said, you have your D-ring here, and then you have your clasp. That's it. You've got your adjustment points, all right? And like I said, this is a Class 1 harness. And inside of here, you're gonna have a serial number, all right? This is the only place on the entire bailout kit that a serial number is actually written down. When we load these things into PS Tracks or you're filling out the form, you're gonna have a little spot for you to put the serial number. That's where you're gonna find that, on that Class 1 harness. All right, when I'm looking at the webbing, I'm making sure that all of the stitching is secure. There's nothing that's come undone. There's no damage to the front or the back. I'm gonna run this through my hand. I'm feeling for any abrasion points. Now, if there's any glass that might be stuck in there, or metal, or shrapnel, or God only knows what you're gonna find in there. You're also looking for any oil spots, right? If there's any time that you get some type of chemical on here and it's discolored, is it faded? Has it been left out in the sun? The UV has destroyed the actual fibers. Those are all the points that I'm looking for, and you'll find all that information on the form as well. Obviously, I'm looking for any type of modifications that somebody might have done on their own that's not authorized to be done. Those are elements that I'm concerned with. This looks very solid, good to go. So I have no problem with this. I'm gonna move on to the safety carabiner. All right, and when I look at the carabiner, same thing. I'm looking at the actual hardware itself, right? Is there anything that's missing? Is it severed? Is it damaged? Is there any corrosion, any rust, things along those natures? Does it operate? If I push down and twist, does the gate close automatically and lock? You have this anti-sway bar here. This bar, you're probably gonna find it missing 9 out of 10 times. And that's because it's attached with a very small Allen key and a little Allen screw. That thing comes out and this bar will just slide right out and people don't even know it's missing. Happens all the time. The majority of the kits that are currently out in the field, that bar is more than likely going to be missing. This is a fairly new kit. That's why he has his attached. So I'm happy with the safety carabiner. The lanyard, same thing. Do I see any abrasion points, any oil, any damage, any fraying of the actual fibers, any modifications that somebody made that they weren't authorized to make? Those are things I'm looking for. When it comes to the F4, this F4 is a newer kind than what most of us have. This F4 you actually have to pull to allow it to release for the person to descend. The older versions has a black handle that you squeeze. Don't be confused by one or the other. Just know that this one pulls, the other black handle squeezes. So when you're testing them, does it work? And I can feel that the cam inside of here is releasing the rope. So this is operable. All right. You can see that this does have some damage, right? It's been scraped up, probably been dragged on or fell out of someone's pocket, things like that. Here you see more damage there. That's natural wear and tear. I'm not concerned about that. All right. Anything that would make this completely a critical fail would be it doesn't work. That's number one. Secondly, there's actually some type of crack that I find. Maybe it fell from an elevated standpoint and it now has a crack in it from that fall. That would be a critical fail. You're not even going to mess with getting it x-rayed. That's kind of what the textbook would tell you to do. It's a waste of time. Just replace it. That's the easiest thing to do. All right, this one I'm happy with. That leaves us with the GT hook and the rope. So when it comes to the GT hook, same thing. This is a hardware, so I'm looking for any cracks, dings, any corrosion. Does it operate? And it does. This has a permanent sewn-in eye for the rope. That seems to be very well intact. No issues there. I don't see any damage like I found on the F4. This is in good shape. This is a good piece of equipment here. Now for the rope. What I'm going to do with the rope is there's 50 feet here. So number one is I'm going to look at the end. The end should have two things that I'm trying to find. Number one is our end knot. Is the end knot tied? And is it tied properly? Is it going to work? This is a barrel knot. This is going to work just fine. This is exactly how we teach in the bailout instruction portion of Mini Academy. So this looks awesome. The second thing I'm looking for is the piece of tape with the firefighter's badge number. So this is 605. This is his badge number. All right. So this has been identified that this is his kit. That has to be present as well. From there, I'm going to then feel the rope starting from this end and working my way back up. And honestly, best thing to do is probably just pull it all out like that. All right. Lay it on the ground. And I'm going to feel. And as I'm feeling, what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see if there's any type. See how there's like a little bit of abrasion there? That is from excess heat as it slides through the device. That's very common. If it's to the point to where it's actually black and the fibers have melted together, that's a burn spot. That's going to be a critical fail. All right. If there's any type of glass or particles that are stuck inside the fibers that we can't just immediately remove and be done with, well, then that's another critical failure. Obviously, inside of here, there is the core. Is the core flat in any spots? That's a critical failure. All right. So far, I don't have any of those things. As I move this through my hand, I'm feeling for all of those things. I'm also looking for any grease or chemicals that may have damaged the actual fibers. This rope feels nice. It looks fairly new. This must be one of the newer kits that we replaced. Remember, there's 50 feet here to inspect. Most damage you're gonna find is gonna be on the probably about 20, 25 feet of the rope from here to the midpoint, all right? Because that's typically the portion that we use when we're training. That's gonna be the section that if it's gonna be damaged, it's more than likely that's gonna be on that side. So you can kind of see here, so take a look at this portion here. You see how the rope has kind of generated a memory here on this spot here? That is either from it being bent through the F4 device, which is closer to where he would be using it, but it's not to the point to where it's damaged the core. That's the important part, is the core damaged. That's the strength of the rope, is in the core. The sheath, right, which is made of Kevlar, is there to protect the core. So I don't feel like that's necessary as far as a critical fail for this particular piece of rope. I'm working my way all the way up. Now look, you can see here, there's one of those dark burn marks I was telling you about. That's from going over this multiple times. Very common, not really much of a concern there. You can see how I can still see all the fibers, and the core does not feel flat at all. All right? Now, when you're done with the kit, if you're doing this and the person, like this person is off duty today, so I'm not worried about it, I'll do it myself. But if they're here, I would have them participate in this. Have them come out, help you with the inspection, educate them on what you're looking for, because ultimately it's their personal protective equipment. It's their personal escape system. With that, the ownership of knowing what are the elements, how do they work, what am I looking for when I'm inspecting this thing, that's very relevant for them to know and understand. All right? And then you can have them pack it back into their bunker pants, or you can do that for them if they're off shift. Okay, so I hope you'll learn something through this evolution. There's not a whole lot happening here. It's pretty basic, but it's really good skill and knowledge for you to understand and to know. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to answer them, or if I don't know the answer, we'll work through it and figure it out together. All right, thank you, and be